Welcome back to New Script on the Block. I'm your host, Nero, and with me is the team at Arizona Studios, Ashley, Graham, and Alyssa. And we're here with another part of Cowboy, the Legend of Billy Tate with our special guest, Jeff. So, Jeff, if you want to chime in, say hello real quick.
Hey there, everybody.
All right, and again, this is the second part of Cowboy, the Legend of Billy Tate, so you can definitely check out the first part and all the other podcasts we have done on New Script on the Block on our SoundCloud, YouTube, and Apple Podcasts. So check that out if you want more of this. So because we got a lot to read, we're just going to jump right into it, all right? Everybody's good to go on that?
Yes, let's do it.
All right, sounds
just a quick where we're coming in on this. Basically, Billy is recanting the story of the massacre that killed his family to the family, and we are back after a flashback. The flashback ends, and we are back into the living room of the Cartwrights, where the story takes over.
awesome. Yeah. Thank you for that recap right there. We definitely need that. Okay.
Sure.
So
and we're in the Cartwrights' home in the living room. Awestruck, Spencer and Max sit at Billy's feet. Mother and father sit side by side on the couch. Kelsey leans against the kitchen door, mouth wide open.
Billy, was this the Black Ridge Massacre?
I do believe that's what they called it. Yep. It was for sure a massacre.
I read about it in the newspaper.
I reckon a whole wagon train of people murdered for no reason would make for good reading.
Is it true they did it to keep other settlers from farming their land?
That's the story they gave. Don't make no sense to me, though. God provided plenty of land for us all.
that he did, Billy.
It was disguised as an Indian attack?
It sure was. But I'm here to tell you there were no Indians. It was Willie Boone. I see it with my own eyes.
Billy, I'm so sorry. I just don't know what to say.
There ain't much to say, ma'am.
Billy, did those men kill your parents?
Yes, Max. My parents. Sorry. Start back. Yes, Max. My parents, my kid brother, and my older sister, not to mention every other family in our wagon train. The only reason I made it out alive was my nature call.
And you watched the whole thing?
Yes, Spencer, I did. And now it plays over and over in my mind every time I close my eyes. Kind of makes it hard for a person to sleep nights.
I'm sure it does, Billy.
Smoke billows from the kitchen.
Kelsey, the cookies.
Kelsey and Mother rush to the kitchen.
Oh my goodness.
Ah, do you need me?
No, Pa, we have it under control.
Kelly walks from the kitchen with a burnt pan of cookies.
I have more batter. I'm going to make another batch without chocolate.
Now, that's my little girl. Son, what happened to the men who did this?
At first, nothing. See, Willie Boone thought there was no survivors old enough to talk. But they didn't know I seen the whole thing hiding in the bush.
Flashback montage. Exit field near massacre at dusk. Horribly winded and weeping uncontrollably, Billy runs from the scene of the massacre.
After you see something like that, you kind of lose track of your senses. Since I wasn't sure they weren't coming after me next, my instinct said run. So that's what I did. I ran.
Now we're in the forest. Billy's running through the trees and takes refuge behind a group of boulders. Trying desperately to catch his breath, Billy breaks down.
I cried pert near till the next morning. Then God said to me, you best get yourself into town down yonder and tell someone what you seen. So that's exactly what I did.
Momentarily closing his eyes in prayer, Billy bolts from behind the boulders and beelines through the woods. Exit town, Main Street, soon after. Townsfolk stare at disheveled, exhausted Billy as exhausted Billy walks into town. Noticing a sign that says Sheriff, he sprints down the street. Interior Sheriff's Office. Soon after, Billy recants the story to a group of shell-shocked law enforcement officers.
At first, they didn't want to believe me. Can't really blame them. It's not like every day you hear a story like that, even for a sheriff. I sat in that office pert near all day as more and more deputies kept arriving.
A sheriff deputy enters with a plate of food and drink as Billy passionately recants his tragic story.
The best part of that was the food. They just kept bringing food and sweets. Guess they figured I was pretty darn hungry after all that running I had done. And I was.
A deputy clears a tear from his eye as he listens to Billy's plight. Interior hotel soon after. Billy sits on the bed. A compassionate pastor and social worker listen intently as he recants the story.
They had me do some talking to the local pastor and a very nice lady from the government. She came all the way from the big city to see me, so I felt obliged to talk to her. I'm pretty sure they thought I'd lost my mind. It was her job to see if there was any truth to my story.
Billy's grief turns to courage as he wins over the pastor and social worker. Plains soon after. With purpose, a group of sheriffs ride through the plains.
Still not believing in me fully, they finally decided to go yonder and check out my story. I reckon their thinking was that a boy like me just couldn't make up a story like that without there being at least some truth to it.
Noticing smoke in the distance, the deputies grind their horses to a halt, change course, and pick up the pace. Scene of the massacre. The lawmen come upon the gruesome scene and dismount their horses. Dead men, women, and children litter the surreal nightmarish landscape. Burnt-out wagons still smolder. As he walks through the massacre searching for survivors, a deputy vomits. A lawman rushes to the baby cuddled next to her mother's corpse. He picks her up and grasps her tightly in his arms. The sheriff mount their horses and hightail it back to town. In front of the hotel, days later, heavily armed sheriff's deputies patrol in front of Billy's hotel.
After witnessing for themselves what happened, they had themselves an investigation by the state. Since I was the only living witness old enough to speak, they kept me in that nice room at the hotel for part near 2 weeks.
Billy sleeps in a comfy hotel bed. An armed deputy sleeps in a chair. Hotel staircase. A sheriff's deputy walks a plate of food up the stairs, enters the hotel room, and places the plate on an overflowing table of food.
Again, the best part of that was the food. Those sheriffs kept bringing victuals like I have never tasted cooked by the ladies in the town. The sheriffs were there to protect me. Since they couldn't find Willie Boone, they were worried he may get wind there was a witness to his killing spree and try and kill me too.
The feast spread out on the table, Billy digs in. Exit mountain hideout, daybreak. In an epic western shootout, an army of marshals and posse execute a surprise morning raid on Willie Boone's mountain hideout.
They told me I'd have to go to court and tell a judge what I'd seen so they could string him up. I wasn't sure exactly what that meant, but it was comforting to have some nice folks to talk to, seeing that my family was all gone and all.
Deputies fire rifles and pistols from the cover of the forest. Willie Boone and his men return fire as they run from a cabin. Gang members fall as they're hit with a barrage of gunfire. Opening fire as they exit the cabin, Willie Boone and a handful of henchmen escape into the woods behind the cabin. Woods behind the cabin. Flanking law enforcement officers lie in wait. Surrounded by an overwhelming number of deputies, Willie and his gang lay down their arms. Exit town, Main Street, soon after. Law enforcement escorts shackled Willie Boone and his henchmen into town. Townsfolk line the streets as the gang of thugs is paraded down Main Street. Hotel room, same time. Billy watches from the window at the surreal scene playing out below.
Soon enough, I looked out the window to my hotel, and there was Willie Boone and them others being brought into town. The deputy assigned to watching me told me they captured all of them, low-down scoundrels.
Billy is escorted by deputies out the door of his hotel room. Montage ends. In front of hotel minutes later, surrounded by deputies, Billy approaches the man who killed his family. Eyes meet. And under his breath, he says to Billy, "I'll kill you, boy." Willie Boone spits out a wad of tobacco at Billy's feet. Billy's memory flashback. The massacre rages. Billy's father and scores of others lie dead. The gang members continue their onslaught. Billy's mother and sister, crying hysterically, embrace as they hide under a wagon. Atop his horse, Willie Boone eyes the pair. Grabbing the rifle from his saddle holster, he pulls up feet from the cowering pair. Billy's mother throws her body as a shield in front of her terrified child as Willie cocks the rifle. An evil grin comes over his face as he spits a wad of tobacco on the ground. Aims the barrel of the gun at mother and sister. Brush, same time. Tears stream down Billy's face as he watches Willie Boone preparing to execute his mother and sister. He leaps backward as 2 shots from Willie's rifle echo in his ears. Memory flashback ends. Front of hotel. Billy's fear turns to anger as he death stares down the man that murdered his family. Slow motion. A rage-filled Billy breaks free of Marshall's hold. Lunging forward, he viciously attacks Willie Boone. The marshal restrains approaching officers, allowing Willie Boone to inflict his pound of flesh. A shell-shocked Willie lies on the ground as Billy is pulled kicking wildly away from the beating. Brought to his feet, Billy composes himself and brushes off his clothes. Slow motion ends as Billy points at Willie Boone and says,
"Yeah, that's him."
Billy shakes loose from the deputies and runs away. Interior courtroom next day. Billy sits in the witness stand at the trial of Willie Boone and his henchmen.
I know it ain't really God's will for me to be acting that way. All full of rage, I mean. I know Mama wouldn't appreciate that kind of behavior either. However, due to the nature of what happened to her and the rest of our family and friends, and God being God and all, I figured they'd both probably forgive me.
Speaking to the judge, Billy points at Willie Boone and the men sitting in the defendant's box.
I did my witnessing for the judge. He must have had some sympathy for what I said because he ordered Willie Boone and them other men to be hanged from the neck until they were dead. I didn't really understand the hanging part, but I sure didn't understand the dead part, being that I had just seen so much of it with my own eyes.
Judge slams the gavel on the desk. Deputies escort condemned Willie and his henchmen from the court. Gallows next day. News is secured by the hangman. The henchmen are hanged one at a time. Quick cuts. 1. Trapdoor falls below henchman number 1. 2. Trapdoor falls below henchman number 2. Number 3. Trapdoor falls below henchman number 3. Minutes later, Willie Boone is pulled kicking and screaming up the stairs to the gallows. 2 guards hold him tight as the hangman secures the noose.
I hope God forgives me for this, but I learned quickly about hanging a man, and frankly, I was damn glad I did.
Billy makes eye contact with Willie Boone as the noose is placed around his neck, if those eyes could talk. A stare down of epic proportion ensues. A tear streams down Billy's face.
Mighty sorry about my foul language in your house, ma'am. Sometimes my anger gets the best of me. It's something I'm working on. It may take a minute after what I've been through. Mama always said progress before perfection, so that's what I try and do.
The hangman tightens the noose. Billy breaks eye contact with his doomed nemesis as tears flow. As he looks back, tears are gone. Staring into Willie Boone's glaring eyes, Billy is no longer afraid. He raises his hand, gives Willie a How Indian gesture, and spits on the ground as the floor drops from under his feet. Cartwright's home, living room. Kelsey walks quietly into the room with a plate of cookies. Placing them in front of Billy, she sits next to Doctor and Mother. Billy.
Yes, Billy.
I'm sorry. I forgot to.
I went through the
myself.
trouble of taking out these chocolates for you, and you can't even talk to me.
I'm sorry. I was on mute. My bad. Thank you kindly, Miss Kelsey. They look awfully good.
I took out the chocolate.
Now that's the girl Mother and I raised.
I'm so grateful for y'all taking me in like this. And to you, sir, for saving my life and all. But I'm plumb worn out. I'm going to have to pass on the cookies for tonight. Will you please leave me a couple for the morning?
Anything you want, Billy Tate.
Of course, Billy. Mother will see you off to bed. Good night, and thank you for sharing your life with us.
It was a pleasure meeting y'all.
Mother stands and helps Billy out of the chair to begin their walk to Billy's room.
Billy,
Mother and Billy stop and turn to Doctor.
Yes, sir?
you will always be considered one of our family.
Sir, there ain't nothing you could have said that would make me feel better. Good night.
Mother and Billy exit down the hallway. Exterior O'Brien's home, modern day. Mailman approaches the O'Brien home. James, Keith, Alberto, and 2 new friends, male 8 years old, female 8 years old, run to greet the mailman. James, Alberto, and Keith are now wearing cowboy hats. So, whoa, your gang has grown into a posse. And I see you've switched from your ball caps.
Our mom gave us a choice. We could buy upgraded controllers for the Xbox or get cowboy hats.
A darn good choice. And let me just say, you're looking mighty sharp in your new 10 gallons. Or, in this case, I reckon 2 gallons would be more appropriate. New friends step forward.
These are our friends from school. They came to hear about the story. They came to hear the story about Billy.
Oh, I see. What about your Xbox?
Well, you told us it would be a week or two, so we kind of thought...
Wait. I think I said that it would be at least a couple more days. Well, anyways, I'm darn glad to see our new cowboy and cowgirl.
We kind of wanted to find out what happened next. Billy was a really cool kid.
That he was. You know, I got in trouble for staying so long yesterday.
If he gets fired, we won't get to hear the rest of his story.
Eyes light up as the kids look to mailman for reassurance. Hold your horses. I didn't get in trouble at work. As long as I get the mail delivered that day, which I did, I'm good. It was the missus. I got home late and supper was cold. She has a thing about eating cold food by herself.
You can bring her too. My mom doesn't care as long as we're on the porch before dark.
I'll be sure to extend your gracious invitation. Problem is, she's already heard all my stories more times than she cares to remember.
If you're going to get her in trouble, I'll have my mom call her.
I'll keep that in mind. Speaking of your mother, is she okay with our little arrangement here? You know the story and all?
Yeah, actually, she's kind of glad we're outside with you rather than sitting inside playing video games like we usually do.
You don't say. No, boys, I'll deal with the missus. However, I can't stay as long as I did yesterday. Tell you what I'll do. I have a sneaking suspicion your Xbox will be here on Friday. I'll tell you a little bit each day until it arrives. That'll keep you in suspense and me from having to sleep on the couch. Deal?
Deal.
This podcast is brought to you by Arizona Studios. Arizona Studios, a full-service video content specialist. We're here to illuminate your message and compel your audience to take the right action. For more information, head to our website at arizonastudios.com and be sure to tune in for more content on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube.
Flashback. Exit town, Main Street, morning. Billy waves goodbye to a group of townsfolk and law enforcement agents. Saddlebags full, he rides a mule down Main Street. Who played mailman? Oh, that's me.
That was you.
Now, Billy...
Sorry.
Right? Now, Billy had been forced to grow up awfully quickly. After what he'd been through, the state wanted to put him in an orphanage. However, Billy wasn't having any of that. I guess the thought of living with a bunch of strangers was too much for him to bear. So off he went, on a mule given to him by a group of sympathetic townsfolk.
Scout?
Nope, this mule had no name and a very bad disposition.
Wait, what happened to Scout?
Patience, my boy, patience. Scout hadn't come into the picture quite yet. At the edge of town, Billy stops, looks back, and continues his journey. But his journey got off to a slow start. I guess you could say he had trouble getting his ass in gear. Exit Forest Trail Creek Day. The stubborn mule holds his ground as Billy attempts to pull him across the shallow creek.
Come on, you old flea-bitten varmint. It's only water.
Billy pulls up. The male digs in.
How do you expect to get anywhere if you won't even get your feet wet?
Again, Billy pulls. Again, the mule stands his ground. We're going to need 2 Indians for this scheme.
I want to be one.
I'll be one too.
All right. So Nero be Blackhawk and Graham be Littlefoot. Or Lightfoot? Sorry.
Lightfoot.
Lightfoot.
2 Navajo Indians, Blackhawk, male 30s, and Lightfoot, male 20s, watch Billy struggle with the mule. Note, Blackhawk and Lightfoot speak Navajo with English subtitles.
This is good.
Lightfoot nods in agreement.
Doesn't he know you never win an argument with a mule?
A boy of his age knows very little.
In the creek, Billy stands his ground.
Look, I'm getting my feet wet. It's a creek, dag nabbit, not a river.
Billy continues to look to the other side of the creek, stops and looks back at the mule.
I crossed, and it didn't kill me.
Billy grabs a handful of river grass.
And when you get over here, there's a peck of good victuals over for your enjoyment.
The mule stands his grounds. In the forest, Blackhawk and Lightfoot watch Billy struggle.
This is good.
Blackhawk nods in agreement. Creek. Billy runs across the creek, grabs the reins. Pulling with all his might, he attempts to cross the mule. The beast has other ideas.
All right, now you done made me mad.
Billy kicks a stream of water at the mule. In the forest, a curious look comes over Lightfoot's face.
Where do you think he's going?
Wherever it is, he's never going to get there.
Lightfoot nods in agreement. Creek. Billy runs to the hind end of the mule and begins to push. To no avail, the beast will not move. Forest. Blackhawk shakes his head in disgust.
That's a good way to lose your teeth.
Or worse.
Grimacing, Lightfoot nods in agreement. Creek. Billy notices Blackhawk and Lightfoot. Crouching down, he grabs a small pistol from his belt holster and draws.
Stop right there. I've never shot a man, but I ain't afraid to use this.
Billy fumbles the gun, regains control, and centers it on Blackhawk and Lightfoot. In the forest, Blackhawk and Lightfoot are unfazed.
What does he think he's going to do with that?
I have no idea.
Lightfoot chuckles. Creek. Billy's attempt to cock the gun fails miserably. Noticing the Indian's lack of respect, Billy re-ups his defensive stance.
You think it's funny, huh? Let me tell you what, I won the shooting contest at the state fair. Well, actually, I came in second, but I still got a blue ribbon.
Half-breed. 14-year-old Navajo boy clings to a tree branch above Billy.
They don't care. They can't understand you anyways.
Startled, Billy turns the barrel of the pistol up and over onto Half-breed.
They think you're stupid.
Who does? I ain't stupid.
Unsure of who to cover, Billy turns the gun back and forth between Half-breed and Blackhawk Lightfoot. Forest. Blackhawk and Lightfoot walk for the tree line, approach Billy and the mule. In the creek, Billy takes a defensive stand.
Put that thing down. You're going to get yourself killed.
I'll kill them before they kill me.
If they wanted to kill you, you'd already be dead. They've been tracking and laughing at you since you entered the forest.
I didn't see any Indians tracking. Wait,
exactly.
Laughing?
Oh.
Sorry.
Sorry, that was my bad. I cut you off.
It's okay.
Half-breed,
Oh, wait, no, go back to, I'm so sorry. Can Ashley go back to, I didn't see no Indian tracking. I cut you off on that line.
That's fine. Yeah, okay. I didn't see no Indians tracking. Wait, laughing?
Exactly.
Exactly? What's that supposed to mean?
Half-breed ignores Billy, jumps from the tree, and approaches. Pushing his gun aside, Half-breed grabs the reins of the mule and walks him across the creek.
How'd you do that?
You have to be smarter than the mule.
I ain't stupid.
Lightfoot looks Billy in the eye and laughs as he and Blackfoot pass Billy and cross the creek.
Why is he laughing at me?
Half-breed ignores Billy and continues his journey. Blackhawk and Lightfoot follow.
Hey, where are you going? You know there are laws in these parts about stealing a man's horse, and y'all get strung up.
Reaching the tree line, Half-breed stops and turns to Billy.
Look, you can either follow us or stand there looking stupid.
I ain't stupid.
Yeah, right.
Where are you going?
Does it really matter? If you don't follow us, you'll be eaten by wolves. This forest is loaded with them.
As the Navajo disappear in the forest, a coyote howls. A deer in headlights look plastered on his face. Billy races across the creek. Exterior Navajo village soon after. Led by Blackhawk and Lightfoot, Half-breed bridling the mule enters a Navajo village. Billy brings up the rear. Fires roar as the evening meal is cooked. Tribesfolk stop in their tracks at the sight of the blonde-haired, blue-eyed Billy trailing the group. Okay, so mailman's voiceover. So Billy followed. He really had no choice. His mule wouldn't cooperate, and he had already gone through most of the his food and supplies. Billy may have been too quick to decide he was a wilderness man. At this point, I believe he was rethinking leaving the safety and comfort of the town. Gossiping Navajo exit their teepees as word spreads of the paleface in their midst. Mailman's voiceover. He had no idea what was in store for him, but the Navajo seemed willing to offer him food and shelter, at least for the night. Since he really didn't have anywhere in particular to go, one night was good enough for him. Two Navajo warriors sharpen knives as they give death stares to their unwanted guest. Billy notices and rushes to Half-Breed's side. Mule in tow, Half-Breed stops in front of the teepee.
You could stay with me and my aunt tonight. The chief will decide what's going to happen to you after that.
You know, y'all are taking a lot of liberty with my life
Half-Breed enters the teepee.
that I haven't given you no permission to take.
You best get in here before someone shoots an arrow through you. And bring your bedroll. We weren't expecting company.
Noticing the tribe staring him down, Billy grabs his bedroll and quickly enters the teepee. Inside teepee, Half-Breed's aunts, 40s, glare as Billy enters.
You can sleep here. Don't mind my aunt. They don't much care for outsiders.
I ain't no outsider. Who are you, and why'd you steal my mule? Sorry, I had to flip the page. Do you want me to do that again?
Yes, please.
Okay. Sorry. I ain't no outsider. Who are you, and why'd you steal my mule?
I'm Robert Green. The tribe calls me Gaji Dine. Is that the way to pronounce it?
Yeah, close enough. It's a Navajo.
Okay.
It's a Navajo word.
Okay. I'm Robert Green. The tribe calls me Gaji Dine. It means half-breed. My friends call me Bob. You can call me half-breed. And I didn't steal your mule. I saved your life. You should be thanking me, not giving me sass.
I was doing fine by myself. I don't need some Indian saving me.
You couldn't get that mule across the creek, and you were darn near wolf chow. Looks like you did need some Indian saving you.
Half-Breed callously pushes Billy backwards as he walks past. Billy stumbles to the ground.
And let's get one thing straight. We're Navajo, not Indians. Insulting the tribe is no way to win them over.
Gee, half-breed. I didn't mean nothing by it. I'm might sorry.
Half-Breed's auntie gives Billy an evil eye. Soon after, Billy and Half-Breed sit around the fire burning in the middle of the teepee.
What's the meaning of half-breed?
It means I ain't full-blooded Indian. My mother was Navajo, and my father was a soldier in the Union Army.
So I reckon that's why you speak English so good?
Went to a Catholic school.
You get good marks?
Mostly led the school in SWATs. And yeah, I was a pretty good student too.
Them nuns swing a mean paddle, do they?
There were weeks I could hardly sit at my desk and do my lessons.
Your ma and pa send you to that school?
Yep. 4 years, every day but Sunday. Sundays we went to church.
Me too. Ma said Sundays were a day for God. I reckon being God and all, he can take the other 6 off if he so chooses.
I reckon so.
What you doing here? Where's your ma and pa?
They ain't here no more.
Where'd they go?
I hope they're in heaven. But at their trial, people were shouting, go to hell, so I'm not really sure where they are now.
Trial? I just did some witnessing for a trial myself. Then they hanged them men till they was dead.
They did the same thing to my mom and pa, except they used soldiers with rifles instead of a rope. Made me watch, too. They wanted to show me what happened when people marry outside their kind, whatever that means.
Seems like we have something between us then. I watched my mom and pa being murdered too, except I had a choice to watch or not. Being it happened right in front of me and all, I really couldn't help but watch.
The Army killed your mom and pa?
Not the Army, but a group of no-good outlaws with a leader named Willie Boone. They killed my whole family and part near everyone in our wagon train, except me. I was on a nature call, or I'd been killed too.
Was this about a month or so back?
Give or take a day. Yep. How'd you know about it?
Well, about that same time, the Army come into the village, hooting and hollering, thinking the tribe was the ones who'd done it.
I see it with my own eyes. They were just pretending to be Indians. I mean, anyways, that's what I did my witnessing about. I told the judge what I seen.
So you're the one.
What you're referring to.
When they did their hooting and hollering, they arrested the chief and tribesmen who they thought done it. Then later on, they brought him back and said they captured the men who'd really done it. You and the one that told him my tribe wasn't to blame.
Yep, that was me.
Half-breed stands.
Come with me.
Where are we going?
We're going to make sure no one shoots an arrow through you.
The two exit. Interior tent of tribal chief soon after. The chief, male 70s, sits on the ground flanked by two elders, male 70s. A group of tribesmen surround Half-breed and Billy. The voiceover by the mailman. So Billy and Half-breed had discovered common ground. Both losing their parents at the hands of others was the glue that bound them together. It said the Lord works in mysterious ways. If this ain't living proof, I don't know what is. Half-breed translates as Billy recants the story. Billy's courage and honesty cleared Half-breed's tribe of any wrongdoing. Unknowingly, Billy's testimony spared the execution of the chief and the other tribesmen arrested for the massacre. Billy went from outsider to hero as the story of his heroic actions unfolded. As word of Billy's storytelling makes its way through the tribe, the audience inside the tent grows. Navajo village that night. A traditional Navajo celebration is underway. Tribesmen, women, and children eat, drink, and smoke the peace pipe. Voiceover by the mailman. They took Billy in as one of their own. The chief made the decision that Billy would be the first white man ever to be considered family. And after what he'd been through, family was exactly what he needed. As Billy and Half-breed walked through the village, tribal children smile and gossip at the anomaly in their midst.
Half-breed explained to me that although I was considered family, they didn't want me to stay permanently. Like, the chief is kind of like the president of the tribe. We don't really listen much as people grow older. Don't make no sense when you think about it. The Navajo believe that since older folks have gone and lived all them years and all, they're wiser and should be listened to.
Using Half-breed as a translator, Billy communicates with tribesmen. Eating, drinking, and yucking it up, Billy's bond with the tribe grows.
The chief said, I was a boy who had become a man as fast as a bolt of lightning hits the ground. I wasn't exactly sure what he meant, but I reckon I'd figure it out sooner or later.
Placing his hands on his shoulder, the chief looks Billy in the eyes as he speaks.
He said I had done a great thing for the white man, an even greater thing for Navajos everywhere.
The peace pipe comes around to Half-breed. Taking a puff, he passes it to Billy and encourages him to smoke. He takes a puff and coughs uncontrollably. Tribesmen laugh hysterically as Billy bolts from the circle. Rushing to the village edge, Billy vomits into the bush.
I have to come clean about something I told y'all in regards to smoking and all. Technically, that was a lie. I made the mistake of trying tobacco once, and once was enough for me.
Half-breed walks a stumbling Billy back to the hysterical group of tribesmen. Billy is welcomed back into the circle with open arms.
Good spot to stop.
Yeah, I was going to say, it seems like a good spot before we hit the, third and final segment. So
Okay.
if we want to just wrap this episode up. Nero, you introed, right?
I did.
So?
I did. I was muted. I did.
You're are you good to do the outro on this one?
Yeah, sure. All right, that was Cowboy, The Legend of Billy Tate, written by Jeff. That's part 2, and we are going to have another segment. But until then, if you like the stuff we do on New Script on the Block, you can check out our SoundCloud, YouTube, Apple Podcasts. Hit subscribe, get that bell notification so you can know when we post more of this stuff. So stay tuned for the next episode. Jeff, thank you for being here with us and reading your script. Until next time.
Thank you.
All right. That's about it.
Yep.
All right,
Yeah,
guys.
we're good.
Thank you so much.